So I actually made a joke in my previous video where I essentially made fun of Samuel L. Jackson being the IT guy in the Jurassic Park universe. And I have to say, I now kind of want him to reprise his role. I want him to come back as an IT guy. Like maybe he murders T-Rexes with a keyboard, or he chokes evil dudes with a wired mouse pad. I just can't imagine Samuel L. Jackson being like a regular IT guy. Could you imagine that? He seems like the kind of guy that would pretend to be an IT guy, but secretly would be like a dinosaur assassin. I don't know. I would love to see him come back, maybe save Scarlett Johansson in the newest Jurassic film. Just throwing it out there. Okay, anyways, all jokes aside, let's get serious here for a second. Well, not too serious because, action figures, whatever. Let's get straight into it. I wanted to talk about more knockoff action figures from AliExpress. And I know in the previous video, we talked specifically only about Marvel Legends action figures. And in today's video, I'm actually going to do something that I probably shouldn't do, and that's talk about Black Series action figures. That really never does well for the channel. For some unknown reason, people don't like when I start talking about Black Series action figures. It usually doesn't get a lot of views, but whatever. It's not about the views. It's just about having fun. It's about putting videos together that I actually genuinely enjoy, and that's what today's video is all about. It's funny because one of my first videos that kind of popped was me talking about AliExpress and whether we should be supporting them, especially with the Black Series line. And it's kind of fun to kind of circle back around like almost 2 years later and talk about AliExpress and Black Series action figures again. I know there have been some rumors out there that potentially these could be like originals and they've just gotten like the mold somewhere, but these actually, they verge on being custom action figures, just because for the most part, when you get these figures or when you get the announcement for these, it's usually like slight variations from the originals that we got from Hasbro. Sometimes it's like a new helmet, it's a new skirt piece, or it's just like extra weaponry or a slightly different paint job. Like these are actual custom action figures. I'm not sure if there's an overseas factory getting the original molds and then just kind of kit bashing together different versions of these characters. It's really cool. It's really fun. The Black Series knockoff lines are probably some of the more interesting ones, because usually with Marvel Legends or with like CT Toys and all these other companies, they usually have like a very standard mold to follow. Like they just essentially do exactly what the original manufacturer did, and then maybe there's some slight tweaks here and there to the articulation scheme, or maybe a different type of plastic, or the box is different. Here these are like brand new figures. Like yes, they are reusing the body molds, and I'm going to assume that they're reusing the older clone body molds. I'm not sure if these are the newer ones, but let's just assume that they're using the older ones. They're essentially kit bashing figures together. I think this is absolutely insane. It's breathtaking to see knockoffs kind of become their own thing, and I think that's what we're really getting here from AliExpress. Now they do have some of the more basic renditions for the Black Series line. For example, they have first order stormtroopers for like roughly under $1, like maybe a couple of dollars. I think the most expensive one that I've seen on this listing was like for $2 to $3, some of them for as low as like $1. But the first order stormtroopers, you have the snow troopers from the first order, you have a few other characters here and there thrown in there. You have even like some of the some of the stormtroopers for about like $9 to $10. The Jedha Patrol stormtroopers. You have some shock troopers, death troopers, as well as sandstorm troopers. These are essentially the originals with some minor tweaks, or just flat out representations of the originals. Obviously they're knockoffs, but there's nothing new to them, like the shock trooper, I believe, and the death trooper, and I believe some of the stormtroopers are essentially the same. But yeah, for example, some of the sand troopers, I think they took some liberties, added some little shoulder pads, things of that nature, just small little alterations that the originals did not have. But most of these are actually kind of accessible online. Like the stormtroopers haven't garnered a ton of value. I think for the most part they're close to retail. Same thing with a lot of the first order stormtroopers. I've actually mentioned this a number of different times on the channel. I love how cheap the first order stormtroopers are at the moment, and for a long period of time I was picking them up for anywhere from like $5 to $15. I could even pick up some at my local toy show for like about three used ones for about $5. I think think those are absolutely killer deals. So, you know, and now is the time to pick these up, because I do feel like as time goes by, they might garner a little bit of a cult following. People might be a little bit more interested in the First Order Stormtroopers, but at the moment, most of the ones that I've mentioned so far are very readily available, very accessible. However, the deeper you get into some of these listings, they absolutely have some bangers here, like stuff that we have never received from the Black Series line, or they're using, like I said earlier in the video, the base clone body and just kind of making slight little adjustments here and there, different paint jobs, different helmets, different accessories, and then giving us characters that we've never seen from the Black Series line. You have, for example, the 212th Airborne Sniper. If I'm not mistaken, we've already received different versions of the 212th, but there, as we always know, there are different classes within those battalions, and this is a perfect example of that. You have the 501st Airborne Trooper, another one of those army builders that we just got a reissue of maybe like a year or two ago. For people that were interested in, you know, army building the 501st, you were able to do that, but they were just like the regular assault clones. You know, they weren't the different categories mixed in there. And so now you get an opportunity for a 501st and add just a little bit of diversity to your 501st display. They also had a few of those purple and white 187th Battalion, which I'm not 100% sure. I can't confirm, but I don't think we've ever received those in from the Black Series line. We might have gotten those from a different line, maybe the Star Wars Vintage. I can't quite recall, but I know for a fact we haven't received these. And again, it's just taking a clone, maybe adding a different head sculpt and then a different paint job. And the list goes on and on. We have some variations on the 332nd Squad, which is the one that followed Ahsoka around. Again, just kind of adding different variations, different helmets, slightly different color palette, and sometimes it becomes a completely different character or a completely different version of a particular trooper. So it's just really fun. As I said, if you go on eBay right now and you look through a lot of those custom action figures or custom Black Series action figures, you're usually paying upwards of $100, you know, close to $120, maybe $140 for something as simple as a new head sculpt. These individuals have to print out the, you know, a 3D model or a 3D resin head sculpt and then, you know, sand it down, paint it, and then add some sort of sealant to keep the paint from rubbing off. So it's an entire process. Not to mention they have to apply maybe like a little bit of a wash or a new weapon accessory or things of that nature. Here you're getting all of that within the price range of like $16 to $20 for either a brand new character or a highly sought after character. If you're looking for something that's a little bit on the cheaper side, as I said, the First Order Stormtroopers, essentially anything from the Rey trilogy is going for as low as like $3. Absolutely insane. It's mind-boggling how affordable they are. A lot of the Stormtroopers or the Jedha Patrols or the Sand Troopers or all of those figures, they're usually going for about like 10 to 15 or 10 to 11, maybe $12. Even the Shock Troopers are readily available and very affordable. I know there was a time when they were pretty expensive, but for the most part, you can actually find these not only about retail or a little bit over retail on eBay, but if you're looking to even cut costs a little bit, especially if you're looking to army build for these characters, if you want like, you know, 10 to 15 of these, buying through AliExpress is definitely a very viable option. You can go in there, buy a small little army for, you know, under $100, or if you want to just do a quick test drive, pick up a couple of these figures for, you know, maybe you know, even the more affordable ones, maybe just spend like $10 for a couple of these, test them out, try the articulation, check out the paint apps, check out the body mold all around, check out the plastic, make sure that it's up to your standard or up to your quality standards. And then, you know, if you like it, you can continue to purchase from AliExpress. If not, you can just kind of bail. What's interesting is most of the reviews are really good. Like out of a 5-star, most of these listings have like upwards of 4.2. That tells me that there's quality there. That tells me that they're porting in some effort, and that's really what you want to see when it comes down to buying knockoffs from AliExpress. As I said, they're closer to what I would consider a custom rather than just a random knockoff action figure online. So there you guys have it. I'm not going to ramble too much. I'm not going to go too deep into this. I will say I'm very excited. I'm very much looking forward to picking up a couple of these figures for myself, but I just wanted to showcase them to you guys. I know these went up maybe like a few years ago, but then for some reason they got taken down off of AliExpress. I'm not sure exactly what happened, and then a lot of these listings are starting to pop back up. Great figures, great offerings. Check them out for sure. Like I said, even just for a quick little test drive to see if you guys like them. If you guys don't, like I said, you can just kind of bail on the whole AliExpress experience. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys enjoy this type of rambling content, make sure to stay tuned. We do this pretty consistently, I would say, like on a daily basis up to this point. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and as always, make sure to enjoy the hobby, pose your action figures, photograph them, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.